Hello, welcome everyone and those watching from home. We are so excited here at the Soprema Senior Center to have Kellen Wallick. He is the business manager with CityLink, also known as Mr. CityLink, we just heard him say. He's been with the city for over 6 years, and we have a great crowd here today wanting to know the latest on CityLink, the fiber optics, all of that, and he's here to fill you in, answer your questions. So welcome, Kevin. We're glad to have you.
Thank you very much. So I'll tell you just a little bit about myself. We'll talk a little bit about the organization itself and how it came into existence. And then I'll walk you through some of the things that we're doing. And as you have questions, if you're like me, my mind is kind of always running. And I need to ask my question before I forget my question. Feel free to raise your hand. If it doesn't become too disruptive, I'll take questions as you have them. If not, we'll wait till the question and answer at the end just to do that. So again, my name's Kevin Wallick. I'm the business manager for CityLink. I was hired in 2018 here. Prior to that, my telecommunications career worked for one of the big telecommunications companies, one of the big telephone companies. I was a senior vice president of operations. I ran a territory that had 600,000 subscribers. I ran West Virginia for Frontier. That's what I did. And I had $1 billion P&L. But I was away from my family all the time, and you get to an age where that's just no fun anymore. So, I had the opportunity to come here. I knew something about the city of Wadsworth. I grew up in North Canton, which is a community very similar demographically to Wadsworth, and I've grown to love Wadsworth. So I really enjoy being here. I consider it home. I'm going to share with you today a number of initiatives that we're working on, but I think it would be good to talk just for a few minutes about the history of CityLink and how we came into being. So back in 1997, the city decided that they wanted to offer an alternative to, at the time, Time Warner Cable, who was the only game in town. And they embarked upon this project. At the time, the person that ran communications, who still works for us, he works with me, Gary Shrimpf. Gary was kind of the mastermind behind what was eventually designed and built. He put up the first fiber here in town, which was really put up to connect the substations, City Hall, all the services for 911, fire, police. So he did all of that, whether it was radio related, but the first fiber was put up in Wadsworth in 1993. If you ever know Gary or get to meet Gary, Gary is a very precise individual who does things by the book. And so that fiber, which was put up in 1993, still works perfectly well today because of the care and planning that went into that. And so over time, CityLink expanded, and what initially started out as a cable TV offering, as the internet became more popular, it was really the internet that drove the business end of things more so than cable TV, as you're aware. And so when I got here in 2018, they had just done an upgrade. I won't go into the technical details of that. But prior to that, so in 2017, if you were an internet customer here in the city of Wadsworth, your speeds were 10, 20, or 30 meg. Now today on the cable system, speeds are anywhere from 50 to 600 meg. What I'm most proud about in that period of time, and there have been a number of changes where we've upgraded speeds and provided more value to the customer, we've never raised the price of the internet. And so we wanted to take the same approach as we moved into fiber to the home. So the price points that exist today for your internet and cable TV will be very, very similar. Your internet prices will be exactly the same. The truth of the matter is, on the cable TV side, just to kind of go into that a little bit, cable TV and the price of content. So when we put a program out that you see on CityLink, we pay those broadcasters for the rights to broadcast that. We pay per subscriber. If I could show you a list, if you all remember John Matting, who used to be here, John maintained records. And if you went back to, say, 2012, the total that we paid for local content was about $4. That's what we paid for all the local content per subscriber. Today, that number is $34. All for local channels. So where a local channel used to charge us, I don't know, 20 cents, I have channels, I won't name them specifically, but the big three, you know, ABC, NBC, CBS, are in the $8 range per subscriber. ESPN, $11. So most of cable TV content is driven by your local networks and sports. That's how they pay those athletes and have those big, beautiful stadiums and all that kind of thing. Unfortunately, the government, you know, and I'm not saying right, wrong, or indifferent, but the government's taken the approach that the broadcasters have a right to charge for their product. And what ends up happening, you know, from a politician's perspective, is it gets pushed out to all of us, right? The taxpayers who carry the burden of whatever they determine the cost is. From our side, the providers have said for a long time that, look, at some point this has to stop. You just can't keep raising prices and expecting people to pay. Of course, over time, then you've heard that a lot of people started switching from like a cable television product to something different. You know, you get it online through an app. You may use a Fire Stick or a Roku device, or you may use YouTube. There were many different examples that were available. And over time, what's happened is all the big cable companies, the largest being Comcast, the second largest being Charter, which is Spectrum. Between those two, there's 50 million subscribers. So they really kind of control the market. But they've had enormous loss in cable TV customers because of the expense of cable TV. Now, you may realize this or not recognize this, but the City of Wadsworth has not raised its price for cable TV since 2018. We were at a point where we were going to start losing money, and so we raised the rates. Then, of course, COVID hit, and it really should have been time to increase the price of the product because of what we were paying for that, because it went up every year. Typically, local TV contracts, by the way, are negotiated over a 3-year period. So we negotiate a rate, but whatever I'm paying this year, I'm going to pay a little more next year and a little more next year. And then when they renegotiate, it tends to jump even more over a 3-year period. So any rate, in 2020 with COVID and all of the things that were put on families and the expenses that happened, we just didn't think that it was a good thing. So the city leader said, you know what, we're not going to burden our customers with that. And over time, what has happened is CityLink and the City of Wadsworth subsidizes cable TV. We're upside down. We lose money on every subscriber. About $14 a month on every subscriber is where it currently stands. That's not a sustainable business, right? So we really need to have an increase in cable TV prices, but Lord knows, you know, eggs, milk, bread, gasoline, you know, you're paying more for everything. And at some point in time, that will need to be addressed. So we had an internet product that was considerably more popular, if you will, than what we, you know, the TV product. Currently today, we have almost 6,000 internet subscribers, a little less than 2,700 TV or cable TV subscribers. So figure 2 to 1 internet to TV. And as people have moved more to a streaming type of product, we started to look for a streaming product. The concern with the streaming product was having something that looked a little familiar to what you're used to. I'm 64, well, I'll be 64 in March. And so I grew up with cable TV. I'm used to looking at a guide, going through the guide and picking my channel, and I wanted something that looked like that. So we have a streaming TV product. We're not forcing people to take it. It is available now. If you call down, you know, if you call into CityLink to the main number and you wanted to move over to the streaming product, you can do so at any time. The only time that we're making it a mandatory choice is when we convert people to fiber, which brings us to our project. So what I thought I would do first is I'm going to walk you through the website. There's a lot of good information on the website. It's not perfect, but I wanted to at least provide this reference to you and make you familiar with the website. It'll answer some questions. It might create additional ones. You can call us at any time. I have business cards up here that have my cell phone number. Phone's on 24/7. You can call me at 2 o'clock in the morning. My wife may not be happy, but I'll answer the phone. When you work in telecommunications and the phone rings in the middle of the night, it generally means there's a problem, so you pick up the phone. And I have our business number on there as well, and of course the website information. So feel free to pick up a card if you feel inclined to do so. So let's walk you through the website. The website itself is wadsworthcitylink.com, just so you have the web address. This is the page that you would hit when you get there, and there's different things that you can look through. I'll just kind of scroll through here. So I want to talk just a little bit about Services Unmatched and what we hang our hat on here. And then you can see some of the products that are offered. So as a small community compared to the 25 million subscribers that our competitor has, we're never going to outmarket them. If they decide they want to get in a price war, we're never going to win in that battle. The space that we can win is we can provide better service. We're small, we're agile, we care about our customers, we live in this community, and we want to serve it in the best way possible. And so when Robert Patrick was the service director here, one of the things that you had the blue tip and the match, and he wanted to do a kind of a play on words, and so that's where Service Unmatched came from. But it was sort of a genius thought, because really it is something that you don't necessarily need to spend more money than the next guy. You can work a little harder. When someone picks up the phone, we're generally not going to tell you it's going to be a couple of days till we come out. We'll try to get someone out there the same day that you call. Those are the kind of things that we think differentiate us from our competitor. So we think those are important things. So what I thought I would do is just kind of walk you through a few things on the website. And I can either start with product or I can start with the project. So I think I'll start with the project just to share some of that with you. At the top, you'll see where it says fiber. And if you click on that, there's a drop-down box. There are locations and the construction process. So the locations, there's a map, and it's color-coded. So the yellow identifies areas in the map that we're going to build to. 2 is the areas that we're planning to start building in next. 3, there's construction ongoing. And blue, the 4 is the areas that are available. So you can kind of see here, as we're starting this project, it wants me to let's make this a little larger. We're actually getting ready to update this. When we update this, there'll be a whole lot more blue. We'll fill in this west side of High Street all the way over to West, pretty much all of these areas here, all the way up to West Street where it comes around right here. All those areas will be blue. There's areas to the south as well. We just did our first underground area, and that would be Weatherstone. That provides a unique opportunity. And just to go back and brag about Gary and the way this network was built from the start, having worked in telecommunications for a number of years, I've seen the right way to do things and the wrong way to do things. And the large companies very much do the expeditious thing, the most cost-effective, not necessarily the best thing for service delivery. So for example, large companies like Spectrum, when they go into an underground development, they direct bury. They bore a hole in the ground, and your wire runs through there. So someone decides to put up a dog fence or whatever, and all of a sudden your service gets cut, or someone else coming through your neighborhood does something and your service gets knocked out. It's because of the way theirs are done. What we do, because Wadsworth has municipal electric, is anytime there's a new development, and most of the new ones are underground developments, when electric goes in and they trench to put in the electric lines, we take advantage of something called joint trench, and we put conduit in the ground the same time electric does. So all of our wires are inside of a pipe and protected, okay? But that presents a challenge when you want to change your service in an underground development, because now I have to be able to pull all that stuff out. It takes a couple of weeks, say for 200 homes, to pull stuff in, and a couple more weeks to be able to connect everything. I can't leave customers out of service. So we've kind of come up with a unique solution where we use a point-to-point wireless. We set up customers in underground areas. If you're in a development where you don't have above-ground utilities, this is what we will do. We'll connect a small little, it's not really a dish, it's like a rectangular box we'll pound a pipe probably in your flower bed somewhere. We'll connect that in your house, and we'll do the majority of your fiber to the home installation at that time. But we're going to have you connected on this radio. Then they'll pull everything out of the ground. They'll pull in all the new fiber. They'll make all the connections. We have to come back to the house to pick up one power over Ethernet cable and just make sure that everything's functioning properly. So it's as minimally intrusive as possible, and we're trying to find a way to provide service and not disrupt your lives. But we will need access to every home at some point. So if you're an existing subscriber today, you will at some point be converted over to fiber. If you're in an overhead utility area, those will happen probably quicker than the underground areas because the build process is much more simple. You can look on the map. You can certainly call into CityLink and ask if it's available in your area or let them know that you're interested. We will, again, convert every customer. As I mentioned before, and I'll go back to pricing in just a few minutes, I'll kind of share with you what those offers look like. But this map will be changing all the time. I'm actually working on making some changes to it that will happen here in the next 2 weeks, and we'll update that again. Process-wise, we partnered with a contractor who's building a lot of that, okay? And then they have splicers who have to splice all the fiber together. Once that's spliced, they have to test it. They have to give us those test results, and then we go out and test it again to verify what they did was correct so that your service will work properly. By and large, fiber optic service will provide you better connectivity than you had with cable. Now, you may have never had a problem with cable, and that's great. That's what we want to hear. But cable TV itself works, by its nature, works on radio frequency. So I'll give you an example, before cable TV that I didn't know. If I happen to decide, well, more like my wife decides she wants to, rearrange the living room or something, and we're going to move all the furniture and move the TV. And I unscrew the coax from my TV or my box, and we move everything around and reconnect it. And I don't tighten it down, it's picking up radio frequency, it's putting it back into the network, and it can affect everyone in an area. Well, I never knew that, but that's how that works. And so my team is constantly running around taking care of those kinds of issues where, someone moved out and they left the cable exposed or whatever, or the situation I just gave you. And so we're constantly trying to run down problems. And we'll sometimes we will have to tag a door and basically isolate their signal so that it doesn't affect you, their next door neighbor. But it's constant maintenance all the time. Fiber is much more resilient. Fiber optic is not affected by those things. The signal, of course, travels over light. Right now, in cable, you have a modem in your house. What you will have, and the modem handles the radio frequencies. What you'll have is called an ONT. It's an optical network terminal. It's a device. It's not a lot bigger than this. And it basically converts light to electrical impulse. And our network is going to be set up where there will be a cabinet, within a few blocks of your home. We wanted to set things up so that if there was a major fiber cut somewhere, it was not going to isolate thousands of customers at a time. So the network's been designed that about the largest outage we could have is however many customers work out of a cabinet. The most would be 500. And that would be like somebody ran over the cabinet and wiped it off of its moorings, and we had to replace it. Which, by the way, we maintain backup cabinets in that case. We'd come out, set it, splice it. It would still be hours of work to do, but we're prepared for pretty much every situation that could occur. So at any rate, once you have fiber, you're going to gain a couple of things. One is the reliability of fiber itself. I'm thinking over time my technicians may become more like the Maytag repair guy, where there's never any work to do. But the advantage in that situation, if you're forward thinking, is you will always be proactive. So there are always values that we look at behind the scenes. We're looking at signal to noise ratios, and we're looking at throughput. And so we might recognize that there's a problem that's starting to exist at your home that you don't even notice yet. And so the long-term goal will be to catch those issues before they occur. So my perspective, by the way, on connectivity is, and I think about this, if I get into my car every day and I push the button to start the car and the car starts, I'm not thinking about buying a new car. And I think internet's a lot the same way. If it works when I need it, I'm happy with that provider. Someone sends me a flyer that's going to save me $10, never mind. It's not enough of a savings for the hassle. I'm happy with my service. It works every time I need it. And so we try to hang our hat on that aspect of things. I'm going to try to play for you. I mentioned that there were a couple of things here. There's a construction process. So let me make sure I can, I'll try to make sure it might be on this one if I have all my remotes here. Yeah, okay. I'm going to try to play a video for you. We'll see if, I don't remember if the volume was up on this or not. Okay, it is.
Hi, we're CityLink, and we're excited to bring you next generation fiber internet to your home in Wadsworth. In this brief
You may recognize that voice. That's Joanna Perino.
what you can expect during construction
And
what to do if you see something
WCTV
that
produced
needs
this
our
commercial
attention.
for us.
Delivering a state-of-the-art fiber optic network that will serve Wadsworth for decades often requires both aerial and underground construction. Admittedly, this work can be messy and disruptive. We understand how unsettling this can be, and we're working hard to minimize the disruptions whenever possible. Once work begins, you may see us temporarily closing roads and sidewalks, trimming trees, hanging fiber lines, climbing power poles, pulling cable underground, and digging into roads, sidewalks, and yards. In some cases, construction crews will need access to pedestals, poles, and other equipment that may be located in a public easement on a homeowner's property. While our crews do not need homeowner permission to access this equipment, our best practice is to knock on a door beforehand and alert you to the work that is being done. CityLink Fiber follows all local utility locate laws and 811 requirements using temporary flags, spray paint, or chalk. Utility owners will mark all underground utilities on your property or in the public right-of-way. These markings are temporary and help our crews avoid disrupting other underground utilities. If you happen to see an issue that needs our attention, please don't hesitate to let us know by visiting the link on your screen and sharing the details we need to make it right. Thank you for your patience and understanding. We can't wait to hear what you think of our fast, reliable fiber internet, CityLink, a service unmatched.
So, wanted to cover what the process looks like a little bit, just to potentially help people kind of understand what the opportunities were there. The process of building fiber internet to 10,000 plus homes is a tedious one. It's a 3-year project. We're just now starting year 2. A lot of the aerial fiber has been placed. A lot of the cabinets have been placed. All of that stuff needs to exist before we build the feeder lines that go down your individual streets, and then we run what's called a drop to your home, and we schedule a time to come into your home. That's a challenge as well, because you can imagine how many phone calls we have to make to get a hold of somebody, to get an appointment scheduled, and to get that done. So there are a lot of challenges with the project, and we're doing our very best to try to meet those challenges, and the new ones that we may not have seen yet at this juncture. So I thought it would be good to talk just a little bit about product. So I was going to go to the internet page on here. Because right now we're still offering cable and we're offering fiber, depending on where you are. The way this is set up is there are fiber plans that you see here, and there are cable plans. So I have both of these available here. So I'm going to put it on the fiber, which is the new. And I had mentioned before, from a price perspective, that the price is the same, actually in some cases a little less, and I'll kind of cover that. So if you notice here on is a 50 meg offer that is $25. On the cable side, it was $50, and it was also $25. The difference being, and this is a big difference with fiber, when you're on a cable network, you have an asymmetrical bandwidth. You get much more download than you get upload. The challenge is, as many of you, if you have a Ring doorbell or a security camera or anything that goes to the cloud, your computer for updates, that requires upload bandwidth. There's a limitation to how much bandwidth is available upload, and we were starting to see more of an issue on upload than we would ever see on download for customers. And we didn't want to get to a point where, and a lot of time, by the way, you see the growth of that bandwidth after the holidays. Somebody got a new toy, they got connected, and the bandwidth goes up. So what we've done then is when you go to fiber, you have symmetrical bandwidth. So the product that you paid for on cable that was 50 meg was 50 over 1. The product you pay the same $25 with fiber is 50 over 50. You have the same bandwidth up as you had down. So again, if you're on the cable network, then the tier 2, your $39 product, you were, Gene and I were talking before, you're paying $39, you're getting 100 meg over 2. If you go to the fiber product, at the same $39, it's now 250 meg over 250 meg. So again, we've increased the value of the product that we're offering to you without increasing the price. Those of you who are internet customers, do any of you have our wireless mesh network? It's called Plume, the little hex pods. Okay. When we connect those in your home, we're going to do that on every fiber customer. When you were a cable customer and had those, there was a small charge. Like if you paid a rental for your modem and so forth, you were paying a monthly fee on top of, say, your $39 offer. When we do this and move you to fiber, we're including it in the price, okay? I wanted to simplify things, we wanted to simplify things so that when you look at a price, there's no hidden, like, you know, our competition sometimes puts out a thing that says, oh, this is $49, and then you get your bill 5 months from now. It's like, how did I end up at $125? What happened? And so ours is an all-inclusive pricing, which, by the way, I can show you here. This, they call it a broadband label, kind of like what's on the cereal box. So,
Sugar added.
yes, no red dye number 2. So these now explain our monthly price. So it's 250 meg, it's $39. It's not an introductory rate. This is, does not require any kind of contract. There is no additional cost for monthly fees, one-time fees, early termination fees, government, nothing. It's $39. And so we did these for all the different services just to be as upfront as we could, and it's this simple pricing. So if you do have the wireless mesh now, which, by the way, what that does, if you have a cable modem now in your home, and let's just for sake of argument say your home is 2,000 square feet, and you have that set up, I don't know, in your kitchen or your living room is where it's set up. And let's say you're in a ranch, so you might be 40 feet away to the master bedroom. Sometimes your connectivity in certain other places in the house may not be as good. So what those Plume devices did was they talk to one another. It's like having 2 routers, although only one of them is connected to the cable itself. So we connect that first one via Ethernet, and then it communicates wirelessly to the other one and provides what we call an access point somewhere else in the house. Now, the reason we went with Plume, and that's a Gary thing again, Gary was in charge of this project, we wanted something that would also add value. So the Plume device, they talk to each other. They're smart. Now, they're not looking at personal data or anything like that. They're just looking at the, you know, I's and O's of connectivity. And they're saying, okay, we noticed that this person is going from here to here using their cell phone for connectivity, and we wanted to connect on this pod because it's going to provide better connectivity. And it makes all of those adjustments seamlessly behind the scenes. You never have to mess with it. You don't have to worry about it. If you have grandchildren that come over and they want to game on your internet, there's you can provide access to them. If you have children, you know, or grandkids who, I don't know, say they get involved in a game and it's dinner time, and you know you call them like 3 times, they don't come down. You can turn it off from your cell phone. They're going to show up at the dinner table. And there's some other security things that are all part of that. They're all included in that package. We really like the service. It's an open source platform, which means when some genius comes up with some new idea, they integrate it into their device and it becomes available to us. So we pay a fair amount. Those pods, the simple ones, are about $75 a piece. We put 2 of them in every home. So when we connect those and we don't charge you a monthly fee, there's $150 of asset that's been provided there, plus that device I mentioned that's the ONT, which is about another $75 in every home. So it takes a while to make money back. That's okay. This is more about providing a service to the community. So at any rate, speed-wise, you see then we go 50, 250, 500 gigabit. Gigabit, which is our best seller, is 1,000 meg over 1,000 meg. You may look at that and go, I'm never going to need that. Now, a lot of times people, and I want to cover this real quick because I think it's an important point. People confuse the amount of bandwidth you're getting with how fast it is. And that's really not how this works. It's better to think of it more in terms of plumbing, okay? So a 50 meg connection to your house might be like a small garden hose. And 1,000 meg, a gigabit connection to your house, might be like connecting your sprinkler on a fire hose, right? So it's capacity. It's the capacity to handle traffic. Now, you may not have a lot of those needs now, but those needs tend to be undiscovered and they change all the time. All it takes is for the next iteration of technology, something that everyone says, you know what, I need to have that can change dramatically what happens with bandwidth. And I'll give you a perfect example of that. So I mentioned that I worked for telecommunications. Their internet for the longest time was DSL. DSL worked over your twisted pair phone line. And it was based upon length to your home. The voice could work out to 70,000 feet. Internet worked to about 12,000 feet. So they had to change what they did. And the farther away you got from the central office or the remote, the worse your speed was. And a DSL, generally, you were lucky to get 6 meg, 6 over 1. Okay? The problem with 6 over 1 was streaming TV. So when Netflix came along, all of a sudden, the telephone's network was completely hosed, excuse the expression, but it just stopped working. Where it used to be, you went to the internet and you clicked on a page and there was a burst of information and it gave you the stuff and you looked at it and whatever. When it started being this constant draw of data for entertainment, that system wasn't set up to take it. And what's happened over time is those companies have lost the majority of their internet customers because it just became something that didn't work. Well, we didn't want that to be the case with cable TV, which is why we made the investment. By the way, the city's made almost a $10 million investment to convert this, and that's for the existing customers. There will probably be other customers that come over now because the service is even better and the price point is good. But it's a significant investment that the city has made and committed to. And you can take a look around. I don't need to spend a lot of time bragging about all the great things the city's done. What they're doing in the parks now is a terrific thing. This project, there's a downtown project they're going to be working on probably in the next year to replace water lines and sewer. So I think the city, again, I'm very proud of Wadsworth. I think it's very progressive in its thinking. And having fiber broadband available will actually add to the value of your house. They say typically it adds 3 to 7% to the value of your house when you have fiber to the home. For businesses that come into town, when we're looking at economic development, typically the first couple of things that they're going to ask are they're going to look at access for transportation. If it's a manufacturing base, they need to know where are the nearest airports, highways, railroads, And the next question is, do you have fiber connectivity? Because they need the bandwidth. So having that fiber connectivity here also helps economic development. So these are all forward-thinking things that we think will benefit the city and its residents for a long time. CityLink and Electric are enterprise-type funds. We take in money for the work that we do, and we make a profit, not a big profit, but a profit over time. And over time, that fund balance is what is funding this $10 million project. We didn't come back to taxpayers and say, we need a bond issue. We're going to ask you to pay more on your taxes to improve internet for half of the people that take it. So that, again, that's one of the things I really appreciate about Wadsworth. They're fiscally very responsible. The money was available to us. We have to dole it out in a certain way because of the way the funds work. But you know, I'm very proud of the fact that we're doing this all with funds that will benefit the city that don't cost the taxpayer another dollar. So all good things. I want to share with you a video, and this may take me just a second to get set up here. Okay, and I want to set up this video for you. I think this is a great example. This video was actually done by an engineering company called Cable Labs, who in the cable industry we did a lot of work with. And they were talking about the need for bandwidth down the road. And what this little video is about senior citizens and your ability to live independently as long as you want. And I went through that with my father. My father passed in 2020, right before COVID. You know, but he wanted to be able to live the last years of his life on his own terms. And he wanted to be in his home. And he was in his home until the last week of his life. And having that independence is important to everyone. It would be important to me. I always think about, what would I have to do when I can't drive anymore? Well, now you got self-driving cars coming, so maybe I won't have to do that. Gary, by the way, has one of those self-driving cars. So this video is going to talk about that a little bit. It's going to show you some of the things that are available now, other ones that are possibilities for down the road. The actor that's doing this, just so you have some reference, you remember Ron Howard, Opie, right? This is his father, and this was the last video he did before he passed. So I'll let you watch this, and we'll talk about it on the backside.
Cookie. I don't know how you're supposed to feel at 86, but I don't think I feel like I'm 86. People make my world go round. I fear isolation and being cut off. If I am alone somewhere and no one to talk to, no one to share anything with, I bet you I would just dry up and blow away. I call this my smart house. We've got sensors in all the rooms. I swallow them. I wear them. Doc knows what's going on with me. I don't have to go to the clinic anymore. I call him up. He's not back in the horse and buggy days.
Looks like you had a pretty active week, huh?
Feeling it too.
Hey, guys. How do you like your run?
Knowing I got eyes on me
Self-driving vehicle's going to take him to go fish.
to keep me being who I am, doing what I want to do, frees me up, takes the worry away. I don't have to worry about Paige, my daughter. Hey, kiddo, what's up?
I'm just checking in.
Because I know she's not worried about me. She's always busy, work and kids, but she can see exactly how I'm doing.
I love you, Dad.
That she knows how I feel before I do. Cookie has become my buddy,
Time for your pill, Jim.
my wingman. Hey, Cookie, what time is that car going to be here?
2 minutes. It's cold out. Might want to bring a coat.
It's just like he has a brain. Now, what are you doing, Cookie?
It's a quick.
I have come to rely on him. I know I can trust him, and he's got my back. I lost Ellen, my wife, 10 years ago. So many good times, so many memories. Losing her was really tough. If we had had for her then what we have for me now, she would have been in a much better place. I miss her so much. Here, not too long ago, I was experiencing those dizzy spells. The doctor had provided a scan for me at home, so I didn't have to go out to the clinic or anything.
They have those scans for that patient. Take a look.
And that scan revealed that I had an aneurysm. I saw this specialist, a surgeon, and she explained to me, we wouldn't have a messy operation. They inject these nanobots and they go into your system. and they find where the aneurysm is and they seal it off. I get a kick out of thinking that I have a whole bunch of nanobots swimming around up here in my brain, doing what they're supposed to do. I wasn't in a hospital, back home. I'm back home where I want to be, where I belong. The help that I have allows me to stay here in my home. Who is that? You remember? That guy in the back.
Who is that?
Have my friends here,
That's Pete.
my family, and I don't want to give that up. I don't want to be in a nursing home. The quickest way to lose your independence is to go where you don't have any independence. That's the truth.
I think that's really kind of a thought-provoking little video there. They did a number of them. They did one for education. You know, when I first saw that video, my father was still alive, and I thought about his independence. A lot of these things, you can go on, you can read about nanotechnologies. They're out there today, and they're not quite to this point, but this is where the future is going. You know, the ability to have your home health care, to connect on the internet, talk to your doctor. We saw a lot of that through COVID, and it's going to continue to grow. Those conveniences, by the way, those things should help lower the cost of health care over time. When I worked in the state of West Virginia for Frontier, hospitals were required, with certain, say Medicare patients, to have to go out and get them to bring them in for their visits if they, were in some type of treatment or care. And the examples that they shared with me were, it could be thousands of dollars for the ambulance ride to go pick someone up that's 50 miles away, bring them in for an appointment, and take them back home. If you can do that, in a virtual way and save the hospital that money, over time, that should lower the cost of healthcare, those kind of things. So I think there's a lot of opportunities that fiber brings. It's also the opportunities that you may not think about now, but what's on the horizon. So there are a lot of things out there today that if you don't know that they're there and you weren't aware. So I'll give you a couple examples. I'm kind of a math geek. I'm pretty good at doing numbers in my head. But I can remember being in school, and when there was a new concept that was taught, as a student, very rarely would I raise my hand if I didn't understand something. Peer pressure, like everybody else acts like they know what's going on. I'll figure it out when I get home. Well, fortunately, I had a mother and father who were very involved in my education, and so I got that help that I needed. But what I should have been able to do was to ask that question there. So there are sites available now. One of those is called the Khan Academy, K-A-H-N. If you're a math person, go check out that website, K-A-H-N, Khan Academy. So Khan Academy basically does math, and they do it from elementary levels. If you addition and subtraction, right? But what they do is they'll do a lesson, say for addition, and they might show it in 5 or 6 different ways because how you learn might be different from how I learn. And so maybe the way the teacher was teaching it, I didn't catch the concept, but then I see this example on Khan Academy and I go, oh, light goes on, I got it figured out now. So, and by the way, it goes all the way through calculus. So if you want to freshen up on your, derivatives, feel free to do so. Vectors and derivatives, feel free to do so. But I mean, there are a lot of impressive sites out there, and these are all things that are becoming available because information is accessible to more and more people. So I think that those are noble things that we're doing, and things that as we move forward we should enjoy doing. So anyway, I talked a little bit about the fiber itself. I'm certainly going to take questions here. I want to share one other thing with you. If we can get the remotes working properly. Let me see here if I can do this. I want to... Okay, let me back up here.
Wait till you have that, because it's
So
just
what is
streaming.
this? What is
So
this?
Okay, so on streaming TV, everything works off of an app, right? You've got YouTube, Netflix, Disney, whatever. There is now an app for CityLink TV. So if you decide to move to streaming TV, you would connect whatever your device is, if it's a Roku, if it's a Fire Stick. And once you have that device connected, you would just go search on the App Store for, in this case, CityLink. It'll download it onto your device. There are, once you've signed up for it, you get a username and a password. Connect it to your Wi-Fi if it's a new device. If you already have that device, you're just adding the app and being able to go to it. And then you log in. So this was set up right now. It's on NBC. It's on probably the third hour of the Today Show.
But you can. To get these recipes, head to today.com/food. Up next, stylish winter coats for everyone in the family. Right after this.
Okay, so I'm going to back up. There is a guide.
Like a relentless weed, moderate to severe ulcerative colitis symptoms can
see if I
keep
can-
coming back. Start to break away from UC.
Okay, at any rate, let me kind of do this here real quick. So,
A key source of inflammation. At 1 year, many
I wanted a format that was somewhat familiar to me. And a lot of the streaming formats don't really do that. This actually has where the line is the time of day. Okay? You can advance to see what's coming up. You can go back to see what you missed.
symptoms or if you need
The system is set up where everything is recorded. So I'll give you an example. If you were an Ohio State fan and you got home and the game had already started, you could actually back up and watch it from the beginning here. And for 24 hours, any program that you wanted to see is available. So if you're like me and you go, no, 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 and then I'll go back and like, oh, I want to see that movie. And I can hit replay, and it goes right to it. So format-wise, I can go through the channels this way. Let me go back here. There's other choices here. You can search. You can also set up favorites. So I'm going to go back to the other app here.
I did. So this comes off of your Fire Stick or your,
Correct. So,
you have to have something.
right. It'll be, which by the way, we have the Fire Sticks. Excuse me, when we come out and set that up, we would do that for you. At home, I've tried multiple platforms to see what seemed to work best. When we first started this journey to pick out a product, we were told that Roku would be the best choice. We purchased their highest end devices, which are called Ultras. I have an Ultra at home. I can't say that I'm completely happy with the service on Roku. What I've noticed from time to time, and I'll use the national championship as an example. I'm watching a 3-hour football game, and it all seemed fine until the end. And then they went to interview like Ryan Day and different people, and all of a sudden the lips didn't match up. I'm like, what? And so I exited out of the channel, entered back in, and everything synced back up. And I'm like, so somewhere it had gotten off a little bit. It wasn't noticeable watching the play-by-play. It wasn't like they were telling me about a play that had already happened or something. So it wasn't something that I noticed right away. But had it been something where dialogue was going on, I probably would have noticed it sooner. I have a Roku set up downstairs, and I have the Fire Stick set up upstairs. I've got a daughter who's disabled. So she spends a lot of time, and we have 2 bedrooms. She has a bedroom she sleeps in and a bedroom that we call her apartment that has a nice big TV and a little refrigerator and, kind of all decked out. Excuse me, 1 second here. Didn't want to cough over the microphone. And by the way, if you're concerned about your ability to adapt to these devices, they're super simple. My daughter does have some learning disabilities. I will tell you, it took her about 2 minutes to figure out how to operate this. She has every app known to mankind. So if she wants to watch Disney and then go back to Netflix and then go to live TV, it's super simple to make the changes. I actually like the fact that there are less buttons. There's less for me to have to remember. Okay, unless you're a person that really like punching in, channel 8.
Those through the city or you purchase
We have them available.
the Walmart?
You can purchase your own, and you can get them through us, whichever you prefer to do. A lot of people probably already have one. The only, I would say, one of the hurdles of streaming TV is if you bought, say, a Roku device 5 years ago, you have an older version of it. If it wasn't updated on a regular basis, it's probably not going to perform as well as a newer device. a 4K Fire Stick is, I don't know, $39. They're not too expensive. Whether you get them through us or whatever, we can rent them on a monthly basis. Some people prefer to do that. If you lose it, we replace it. If it fails to operate, we replace it. At $5 a month, it would take a long time to have go back and buy it. If the technology's improved, we'll have the latest and greatest available. But the format is very similar to what you're using in linear cable, and that's one of the things that we liked about this product. Now, I had mentioned earlier about the cost of content. So the cost of content here takes us, it doesn't, we go from losing money per subscriber to basically breaking even or making $1 a month per subscriber. But that's a significant difference to the city. Just to give you an idea, last year, CityLink paid $2.8 million for the cost of content. 2,600 subscribers, all the channels that we pay, 12 months of the year, $2.8 million. This stands to save the city $900,000, and provide the same value to you in a format that's very easy to use. So I think it judiciously was the right thing to do for the city, and it is sort of the direction things are going. And we believe, again, long term, that this will be something that needs less maintenance, easier to operate. Generally speaking, my team will be able to talk you through an issue. You can call in. I've got CSRs downtown that are part of utility billing, so there's some training that we need to do with them, but it's not my department. But we help them all the time. And then I have technical CSRs who are in my building who take your calls till 11 o'clock at night. And those guys are a lot smarter than me. And they know all the technical details of how this works and how to fix this problem and if you're doing this. And most of the time they can resolve the issue over the phone, and you have an immediate gratification for whatever the issue was. And if not, and they recognize that there is an issue, they'll schedule a vehicle to come out and see you as soon as possible. If you call during the day, we'll probably be out the same day. If not, and you call in the evening, we'll probably be out the next morning sometime.
Do you have different channel packages?
Yes. So basically on cable, you may recall there was a basic package, and then you had enhanced, and then you had like a premium level or HD. Those were like the four things that were available. Which, by the way, there were a limited number of channels on the cable system that were actually in high def. High definition, by its definition, the signal is 4 times the size of a standard definition signal. So capacity, the city's system could only handle so many high def channels. The way things work on streaming, everything is high def because that bandwidth is coming over your internet now. So the quality of your programming should look better. Everything that we get is high def. The only things that aren't high def are what we call must-carry channels. So channel 3, 5, 8, 19 all have other channels that we have to carry. You may have seen Me TV or Circle TV or any of the, some of those. And those are standard definition broadcasts coming out of the local broadcaster that we are required to take. I feel I ought to be able to tell them, you provide it to me in high def and I'll carry it.
Could I get a package without sports and without local TV, which would be much cheaper?
No. So unfortunately, it's not set up that way right now. There is some talk about that, and I'll kind of cover that for you because it's a great question. And I kind of feel the same way about it. So first off, if it's my money, I ought to be able to have it be my choice. But broadcasters, basically lump things together and make you take all of these things that, So I'll tell you where I'm really looking to go short term. The easiest answer has to do with technology. You may or may not be aware that local broadcasts, by law, have to be available over the air. So depending on where you live and whether or not you have any kind of cable TV antenna, you can pick up all the local broadcasting now for free, okay? So to your point, what I'm looking for is a device that's smart enough to know that when I push channel 3, it says switch the input to antenna, And seamlessly for you, it just tunes in channel 3. It doesn't know that you changed the technology to do that. And you don't have to remember that that's what happened. It just works. So there's some devices in testing now, and I'm telling you, the minute that's available, I'm going to make it available because I don't like the fact that I'm, in essence, held hostage by the broadcasters. Let me get this straight. You provide it for free, but if I put it over my system, then you charge me $8 per subscriber, and I got to pay for 4 of those channels, which is why my cost on local TV is in that $34 range. Sports, same way. We will probably eventually break out a sports tier. If you're a sports lover and you want, ESPN and Fox and CBS Sports and whatever, you'll be able to do that and pay for that tier separately. Right now, it's not set up that way. So our packages have a basic TV that has about 30 channels. So you have all of your local broadcasting, the must-carry things that we have. Weather Channel. It has some beach TV stuff that's in there that's new and different. I don't know if that's supposed to make us.
That want all the sports channels, this isn't the way to go?
No, it is in the packages now. Yes.
Do you have those packages to show us?
It's a little difficult to show you all the channels on here. It's just the format of it doesn't work real well. But there are ways to see that. You can kind of scroll through the lists on the website, okay? But fundamentally, I was telling you there were 4 packages. So the first package is basic local content, News Nation, some of those channels. And then the first new streaming TV offer is called Core. Core has almost everything you have in Enhanced. It does not have what was Bally Sports Ohio and Great Lakes. So if you're a Cavs fan or a Guardians fan, those weren't available there. So, if you don't want to pay the premium for that, yeah. And so that's in Core Plus.
Okay.
And Core Plus has more channels in it than our Enhanced does. And it's within $1 or $2 of the same price. I think right now you're paying $84. I think it's $89, but it does have more channels in it. And then there's also a premium tier that has 18 movie channels. Doesn't include HBO, but it has like Stars and Encore, and all those movie channels are $14 more. So that's a pretty good value too. So you can pick whatever package you want. Now, if you're really, let's say like I happen to be a pretty big Guardians fan. I go to a lot of games. I was fortunate enough to go to a few World Series and take my father, who was a big baseball fan. And my dad played ball for 25 years, so I was, keeping score, and I learned all that stuff at an early age. So I would, there's never a time I wouldn't have access to a Guardians game. I would pay for that. That's value to me. I'm not really a basketball watcher. So if I wanted to, I could, during the baseball season, pay for Core Plus. And then during basketball season, if I don't really care about watching the Cavs, I could go down to Core and save myself $10 a month. The Core package is less expensive than our Enhanced. It's $79. So there are those options that are available. You may choose to do so, seasonally if you want, and they're flexible. If you happen to be, the term used to be snowbird, who goes south, we can suspend service. Now, the one really nice thing about streaming TV, you can have it on your phone. And if you used the old TV Everywhere app at any time, it was really clunky. It was designed by CityLink Cable. And, compared to us, they're big. They've got like 70,000 subscribers. But it's a clunky app. And like if you're an ABC, you have to log out of ABC to go into CBS. It's just goofy. The new streaming platform looks just like that, the guide that I showed you. You can like stream, scroll through TVs. Oh, there's the channel I want to watch. Tune to that, yes, and it comes up on your phone. So if I happen to be, on vacation in Myrtle Beach and I want to watch the Guardians, but it's not on TV, I have access to it. Most TVs now, you can connect wirelessly with your phone. So if you go somewhere for a few months in the winter and want to be able to watch the local news here, you'll be able to do that with the streaming TV app. Or down there, you just download it and watch it over the internet. So I think that that's a nice, little value add that comes as an advantage of streaming that you didn't have with cable TV. So to the original question, and sir, I'm sorry I didn't catch your name. Steve, I am very much in your court. I would like it to be where you can a la carte choose what you want. And I'm hopeful for the day that we can get there, but we're not there yet. What other questions do you have? Yes.
What you were just discussing with them, was that streaming TV or current cable?
I was just describing, well, I was a little but mostly I was talking about streaming TV. You do have access to an app that you can use your cable TV in other places,
Right, I got that.
but it's not very functional.
But the basic, the core plus, that's the streaming TV that we get through CityLink.
That's correct. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Other questions that you might have?
What's the advantage of using a Fire Stick or a Roku?
Okay, so you have to have something to interface with that's going to connect to the internet, and everything is app-based. So you download on an app store. So if you watch Netflix or YouTube or whatever you happen to do, you can put all those on your TV, and then you just use your cursor to click over to whatever app you want to watch, load it, and have all the functionality of that app. The platform that you choose, this is a little bit like Ford and Chevy. They both work. If you happen to be a Ford guy, you buy this one. If you're a Chevy guy, you get this one. And they pretty much work the same way. I tried to explain there are functionally some differences between how these remotes work. And you may look at these and go, I like this one or I like this one. I'm familiar with both. If you have questions afterwards, I can share some of the difference in the functionality with you. Might be easier to do up here close as opposed to from a distance, but you're going to need some type of a system to be able to have the application to load the streaming product. Does that kind of answer your question? Yes.
If we already have Fire Sticks that we use and we want to switch to streaming TV, does the tech still have to come out, or can we just look it all up ourselves after we sign up for it online?
Yeah, technically you should be able to sign up for it. You're going to talk to us downtown. They can give you a username and password, and you should be able to do that yourself. If you choose, or you're having a difficulty with it, we can send somebody out.
Okay.
Yep.
Great.
Some other hands, yes?
Yes, okay, see, I'm not a TV person, but my husband is, macular degeneration, we've got over 50 buttons, he's saying, honey, can you help me? I'm going, get you done. I mean, it is so, what can you offer, what should I be prepared for? I mean, I can't even turn the TV on right now, let alone turn it off.
Okay.
It's just not,
Well, Roku on the Ultra,
okay, I saw that, and that looks pretty good.
yeah, it's pretty simple, not too many buttons, and it has a voice function. This particular one doesn't, but the Ultra has a voice function, and I can say turn on, turn off.
There you go.
I can say tune HBO or whatever. Yeah. Yeah.
So over my head, and it's like, I can only take, we've only been up here not that long, like less than a year, but I can only take 2 shows for him at a time, and we have to be careful, he may have to watch one, I don't know, I'm going,
Yeah, so full disclosure on the recording, you kind of lose, you can't record a movie and watch it for the next month. That stuff basically doesn't stay very long, but it basically records everything for 24 hours. So if you want to watch something that you missed, any program on any channel is available. What they call cache, we store all of that information on devices over at CityLink's data center, and that information is available at any time. Yes?
Is there a DVR type function that will hold things for a longer time?
I think the longest it'll hold things is 30 days. I'll have to double check that for you. But it's not like, oh, I like Peacemaker with George Clooney and I want to save that on my DVR forever, and if I want to watch it 5 months from now, it's there. Of course, the limitation with the DVR was, because it's a hard drive, is it filled up. And eventually that became problematic, and then it's like, what am I deleting or not deleting? So yeah, there's not a great answer for that yet. The product was probably more designed for having access to the programming you want now, is kind of how it was set up. And so many of the things that we used to typically want to record are available on some other app. Disney owns the right to the movie, or HBO does. Yes, sir?
Do you have any issues connecting directly to like a smart TV?
So it depends on the smart TV. And the challenges there are similar to what I was talking about with the operating systems here. TVs, some of them had a number of apps that were on the TV. Some of the manufacturers are really good about updating those apps on a regular basis, some not so much. And everything has a life cycle. So once you get a certain number of years past that model, they don't update it anymore. And if you end up running into a connectivity problem, of course, we end up sometimes going out and trying to deal with those issues. I don't necessarily have control over some of those, but there's always the answer of going to one of these instead. For the most part, if it's a relatively current TV, yes, it will work over the smart TV.
Yeah, it's a new 8K, so yeah.
Oh yeah, you're fine.
Shouldn't have any problem.
Nope.
So if you have a smart TV, you don't need one of those?
Technically, you should be able to go into the App Store and download that. So we made the application available through Android, Apple TV, Roku, pretty much everything. So it should be available to you in any format that you want to find it. Yes?
If you currently have cable and you don't have the internet, when they come into your home to put fiber optics in, do they run all new cables then?
Okay, so yes, the initial conversion to fiber optic, we're going to bring in what's called a real flex jumper. It's fiber optic cable that looks like rubber, and they'll run it into your home so that you have the highest bandwidth connectivity inside the home. That's going to connect to that little device called an ONT. And
Is that ONT in the house?
yes.
Okay, you said something about a box. Is that on the outside of the house?
So there is a box on the outside of the house, and pretty much everybody has a box on the outside of your house now. The new fiber optic ones that we bought, we deliberately purchased to fit inside of that box. I didn't want to have to take this box that's on your, outside of your house off, and then, where you repainted the house, you see that this fits in that box, it tucks away neatly, you won't see it, but it does have different connectivity in it. So the fiber drop that comes to your house, whether it's underground or overhead, will come into that box and terminate. They'll actually splice that fiber, or burn that fiber, we call it burning, that fiber to the jumper that goes into your house. We'll terminate that on the ONT in your home, and we will connect one of the plume pods directly to that device, place the other one somewhere in your house, and while we're letting it, what they call optimize, we'll go through all the education on the product for you.
And then when you put the ONT in the house, does that eliminate the need for the modem and the router?
Correct. Your modem and router will go away for the ONT and the plume devices.
And do you have to have fairly new technology as far as the type of TV you had, similar to the question that he asked?
There may be a few TVs, they would be 25-year-old TVs that may be connectivity issues. There are some ways to get those connected, but more limited than the majority of technology that's out there.
And do one of your customer service people sit with you if you make an appointment in person, help make you answer your questions to make this transition?
So all of the installers who come out in the home, they do this every day, but they don't come in your home without putting on little booties. They don't drag any dirt in your house. But they'll take the time to answer your questions. Some people are probably better communicators than others, but I think all of them are very good at the job that they do. We get thank yous from many of you all the time about how great the technician was who came out and helped them.
But you could talk with somebody in advance before the technician comes to your home?
We can do that for you. It's probably best if you have the device there so you can see it and operate it. But yeah, and I have the technical guys who are really good with that as well. So depending on who you talk to, you may get a customer service representative downtown who doesn't know as much as the technical people do, and they may transfer the call over. But it's
And you can't have the streaming TV without the internet, is that correct?
correct. You will need an internet connection to have the streaming TV.
But you pay for both then?
You pay for both.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Sir, you had a question?
I was going to give you a bit of a pat in the back.
Oh,
I was on city council when we franchised Warner Cable to come in. And the progress that the city has made with CityLink is fascinating. It is really really great. You guys, I think, do a very good job. And we had Spectrum for a while when we moved to the township, when it was working. And we were in South Carolina for about 3.5 years. And every time there was a wind blowing, we lost cable. But, so I'm really impressed with CityLink.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. It's a testament to the team and to the leaders at the city who didn't want to cut corners, who wanted to provide options for its residents. And I think that that's an admirable thing to be able to do. So thank you for your leadership when you were there, because I think it's really been an advantage for the residents here. I think I saw someone, yes.
So if I don't have internet or Wi-Fi, when this takes place, if I don't have either one of those, I can't watch television.
The only way to see television would be to have a Wi-Fi connection. Yeah, right. Now, in a lot of those, I'll get you in just a second, Bruce. In a lot of those, residences like that, sometimes what we can do is work with the owners of the property to provide service to the facility that can be absorbed into the costs. I don't want to speak for them, but we've done that with a number: Liberty 1, Liberty 2, Coleridge, St. Ed's. Thank you. All of those are connected with us now, and we provide kind of a bulk rate. So the institution itself doesn't pay too much, but it's provided to everyone there. And we would do our part to work with anyone there to help defer that cost, because I certainly understand, being on a fixed income. Bruce, you had a question?
Yeah, how long before they're gonna open your service up, going up into Sharon Township, up to the circle?
Okay, yeah, so we're gonna concentrate first on the 10,000 homes that are, technically, if they're not within city limits, there's something that was annexed in, like, Tiburon Trace and some of those up there. But the way we designed the network, we ran what we call our backbone. That's the super highway of fiber. We ran our backbone through all of our substations. So the northernmost substation, if you're familiar with where it is almost on the square. It's not, or on the circle. It's not too far from there. And so eventually it would be very simple to extend out of there. Most likely long term, without a significant change in technology, we will only build to the places where Wadsworth Electric serves. Because Wadsworth Electric and the city owns those facilities, we don't need to ask permission to attach to them. We don't need to pay a premium for that. And so our long-term goal would be to do that. So for example, if you lived out on Mennonite, well, we've got fiber that's in Seville's substation, be a short little trip down the road to get to Mennonite. So it's all designed that way to be able to reach out and build that eventually, because I can't tell you how many requests I've cataloged from people that live in the township that say, wow, we used to live in the city, we love your service, I wish you had it available where we are. So, other questions? Yes?
Is our service going to remain the same until the fiber come in? I mean, I have internet and everything already. What can we expect before this changeover? Are we going to see things on TV that oh, I didn't know that.
So the service that you have today, that you will have until you transition to fiber, will remain as it is. There are occasionally programming decisions that are made. We're not going to carry this channel. We're going to start carrying that channel. Sometimes we're required to do so, but they will be minor changes. So the way in which you watch TV now and the way you access information now will not change. It will not change until we're in your home and make that conversion, which is a couple-hour process. So your downtime with any of that connectivity should be very minimal. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Other questions? Yes.
If I get a new TV, I'm already hooked up to it. Do I have to have somebody come out and hook my TV up to it again? Or can I just hook it up?
You should be able to hook it up. But if you run into a problem, you give us a call. First thing we'll probably do is try to talk you through it so you don't have to wait for someone to come out. But if we can't, we'll send someone out.
Then we're not streamers. My husband watches all the old shows. and most so little that he's always hitting and taking me back to stream. It takes forever to get back out of there, back to CityLink. Is there a pamphlet or something that tells you different things?
Yeah. So I mean, well, for one, and what I did at home, because I watched some of those older things too. I want to catch the Dick Van Dyke Show or something. And if I choose to want to watch one of those programs, I can save it in a list of favorites. So rather than trying to rifle through 180 channels, I have about 30 that are saved that are the ones I watch most of the time. And I hardly ever go to the regular guide. I go to my favorites and I go through the channels I typically watch. And I made sure that I put the ones my wife wants in there too. So if she wants to watch, food TV or something, it's available. So simple to set up though. And there, certain, like the Roku has a couple of buttons on the Ultra, a 1 and a 2, that you can very easily, thanks for coming folks, you can program like this switches it to this input and that.
Well, I have the other Fire Stick.
Okay,
I
okay.
only had a half smart TV. Some of those program in, but it was older, so.
Yeah, yeah. So,
It's only about that big.
yeah, I gotcha. Yes.
I have Spectrum right now,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to transition into CityLink. How difficult?
Pretty simple to do. You make the phone call into the main number. Because you're already a utility customer, it'll be easy to set up. They'll pick out what package you want. They'll schedule a time to come out and make the installation. They'll connect you and you can either arrange to disconnect your Spectrum service at the same time or wait until you're up and running and then disconnect it. Whatever's most convenient, sir.
Is the CityLink app that you showed on the TV available now?
Yes.
And so, I have streaming TV and I'd rather stay off of it. But that's,
Yeah, it's available now. You just won't have a username and password to log into it until you sign up for the service. But you could download it now, so it's already there and waiting. So if you do have to convert, you're pretty much set to go. I thought I saw a few other hands. Anybody? Sir?
What's the timeline for the fiber rollout? Like, how long is it going to be for the whole city to roll out?
Great question. So, it could be until the end of 26, the beginning of 27, until everyone's done. Where do you live?
Just south of Riverside Christian.
Okay. Yeah. So, what we're trying to do is trying to spread the wealth a little bit so that, if you're to the south of the city and we started in the north, you're not waiting until, we're never going to keep everybody happy. And we're also trying to look at the wards. So your councilman doesn't get a barrage like, how come nothing's happening in our ward? So we're trying to spread that around and spread the wealth. So it's hard to say exactly, but I would tell you that the overhead areas will happen sooner than the underground areas. The underground part will take the longest. Yes?
Is there any special pricing for seniors?
At this point, we just offered the one low price. It's the best offer that we have. For the most part, everything related on the internet side is less expensive than it was before, and it's a simple one price. So at this point, we're not doing anything. If City Council chooses to do something, it would be through legislation. There would be a 30-day notice to the public, and we would implement whatever their wishes were.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Yes?
You said all the packages or pricing I can find when I go to.
They're on the website.
On the website.
Sure. And any questions you have, you can pick up one of my cards up here. I'll answer them personally, or you can call into the number. I think that's about the end of our time. I don't want to keep anybody captive, but if you have questions, I'll stick around for a few minutes and answer your individual questions. Thanks, folks.